Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Further, to continue with the deciphering of the Quran and my previous presentation, Islam Decoded, today, with the knowledge bestowed on me by the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let me tell you what Qiyamah is and where is Jannah. First, let us understand the meaning of Qiyamah. The Arabic meaning of Qiyamah is resurrection. It is believed that on the day of resurrection, all the dead persons will be raised again from their graves. The synonyms for Qiyamah are Doomsday, Apocalypse, Pralaya, and Qayamat. Let me tell you that in the light of my previous presentations and deciphered knowledge of Quran, the scientific meaning of Qiyamah is mass extinction. Yes, it is the mass extinction, as mentioned in my previous presentation, Alif Lam Mim Decoded. Now, the question is, when does this mass extinction will occur? The lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would like to keep the exact timing of the apocalypse a secret, as mentioned in the chapter number 20, verse number 15, but at the same time, He has forewarned about it and has provided an approximate timing of it. As mentioned in my previous presentation, Alif Lam Mim Decoded, this mass extinction is coming at the end of quaternary period. It is mentioned in the chapter number 27, verse number 72 that 1% of the apocalypse has already started during the time of formation of the Arabian continent for the earth and during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad for the human beings. Now the question is, when does this quaternary ends? With the knowledge bestowed on me by the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let me tell you that the end of quaternary is very near. Yes, shortly it is going to end and the events of the Qiyamah has already started as mentioned in the Quran, Hadith and other scriptures. As mentioned in my previous presentation, Islam Decoded, the humans, including the prophets, represents an event or a component or a phenomena of the universe, and their life history is an enactment of these events. Till now, this enactment was related to the past events, and from now onwards, the human enactments related to the future events. Yes, the humans are going to enact the destruction of the earth that is going to occur in future, which is called the Qiyamah, and the formation of the new super earth that is called the Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga. To keep this video short, I will discuss about the future super earth in one of the future presentations, inshallah. In this presentation, let us know about the events occurring shortly. Even the scientists have predicted the mass extinction, but they are not aware of the exact details of the incidents that are going to occur during this event. But the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has mentioned all these details in the scriptures and forewarned us about these events as mentioned in the chapter number 3, verse number 30, which says, Allah himself is giving a warning to you as he is a well-wisher of his servants. Now, let us comprehend the events that are going to occur in future. First, let us understand the condition of the earth in future. The present setup of the continents is a result of breaking up of the past supercontinent called Pangaea into many tectonic plates. These tectonic plates are moving in different directions and in future may join together to form a supercontinent to which different names are given by different groups of scientists as you can see in this slide. But there are many ambiguities regarding the shape of the future continent among the scientists. But the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has mentioned in the Quran, chapter number 21, verse number 47, that on the day of resurrection, a balance will be kept which weighs evenly to weigh the deeds of the humans. This indicates that in future, the shape of the future continent will be like a balance which weighs evenly as the tectonic plates are mentioned as man and woman as shown in my previous presentation, prophets revealed. Now, you may tell that this will take millions of years. Maybe not. According to the chapter number 84, verse number 6 and chapter number 30, verse number 25, the humans are moving slowly, but when the Allah calls them, they come towards Him running. This indicates that presently the continents are moving slowly, but on the doomsday, the continents will move with high speed and reassemble quickly. The cause for the high speed is the meteoric impact and volcanic eruption, which is mentioned as the sound of the trumpet in the chapter number 23, verse number 101, chapter number 20, verse number 102, and chapter number 14, verse number 42 to 43. And moreover, there will be no relationship exist among the tectonic plates because of these events, and it may increase the speed and change the direction of movement too. The statement, their eyes are wide open and their eyes are looking up while running and their heart is beating fast, as mentioned in the chapter number 14, verse number 42 to 43, indicate that the mantle plumes will pump out high amounts of magma, where the mantle plume is mentioned as the heart and the volcanoes are mentioned as the eyes. After this, the non-believer tectonic plates will be subducted permanently and the remaining believer tectonic plates will form a future supercontinent near the polar regions. Here, the length of the day will be longer compared to the present time. This is the final shape of the future supercontinent, and this will be the last supercontinent which will remain till the complete destruction of the earth. This is mentioned as the Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga for the humans, for the present human enactment related to the future events. The intermediate stage between the present continents and the future supercontinent is known as the Barzakh, as mentioned in the chapter number 23, verse number 100. This future supercontinent is divided into two parts by a chain of lofty mountains, where the northern part represents the heaven and the southern part represents the hell. The believer tectonic plates and the organisms, including humans, will dwell in the heaven, and the non-believer tectonic plates and the organisms will dwell in the hell. Several different events are going to occur before reaching this final stage, which are known as events of Qiyamah. Few events are mentioned in Quran and few are mentioned in Hadiths, which is a supplementary knowledge to the Quran. Now, the question is, when does these events of Qiyamah start to occur? It is mentioned in the chapter number 53, verse number 57 that the judgment day is very near. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 54, verse number 1 that the judgment day is near and the moon split. This indicates that there will be a split in the African continent, which is figuratively mentioned as moon, as shown in my previous presentation, Evolution of Life. This split marks the appearance of the Mahdi for the earth, who is none other than the Kalki, Mashiach and Messiah. This split has already occurred in the previous decade, which is evident in the East African Rift Valley due to volcanic activity and earthquakes. The recent volcanic activity in the Congo during 2021, occurrence of earthquakes after 2015 in the East African Rift Valley region, and the appearance of large cracks in the East African Rift Valley in Kenya are the events that mark the split in African continent. Let me clarify one thing here. Few scientists are speculating that the split in East African Rift results in the division of Africa, which will form a separate continent comprising the East African Rift region in future. But it is mentioned in the chapter number 33, verse number 40 that the Muhammad is the Rasul of Allah and the seal of the Nabi, where Nabi represents an independent tectonic plate, as mentioned in one of my previous presentations, Prophets Revealed. This indicates that there will be no more formation of a separate continent after the formation of the Arabian continent, as the Prophet Muhammad represents the Arabian plate. This implies that the East African Rift region is not going to form a separate continent, but it will split to such an extent where the image of the Mahdi will appear clearly. This also implies that the Mahdi is a Rasul, meaning the messenger of Allah, but not a Nabi. Since the present enactment for both the earth and humans are occurring simultaneously, it is possible that the Mahdi for humans may also be active, but yet to be recognized by the people, as he is not going to declare that he is the Mahdi as mentioned in the Hadiths. It is mentioned in a Hadith that during the end times there is an increase in number of earthquakes. The increased incidence of earthquakes in the past few years indicates that the end days are here. Now, the question is, why does these events occur at the end times? It is mentioned in the chapter number 30, verse number 41 that because of their own work, there is a misfortune on land and water. This is like this because people may turn back or to punish them for their wrong deeds. This indicates that due to the elemental activities in the core and mantle, which is metaphorically mentioned as land and water respectively, are the cause for these events during the end times. To know more details about the layers of the earth, please watch my previous presentation, Miraj, the story of sun structure. Now, the question is who will cause these events? It is mentioned in the chapter number 51, verse number 22 that the thing that is essential for the sustenance of life on earth and the thing which brings the judgment day lies in the sky. This indicates that the sun is the one which will cause these events for the human beings and the external surface of the tectonic plates. Then, what are the repercussions of these events? According to the chapter number 51, verse number 13, during the end times, the non-believing human beings will be burnt in fire. Now, the question is, how does this will happen? This will happen due to the incoming high-intensity solar flares which are mentioned as Jesus. As I have shown in my previous presentation, Jesus is coming soon. Dajjal, the story of climate change, and Yajuj Majuj said, Inshallah. To understand the harshness of these solar flares, we should understand the following hadiths. It is mentioned in a hadith that the hour will not be established till a man, when passing by a grave of someone, will say, "Would that I were in his place." This indicates that the humans will be facing such a harsh weather that they consider the death is better than the life, as the living conditions are extremely difficult. It is also mentioned in the same hadith that the hour will be established while two men spreading a garment in front of them, but they will not be able to sell it nor fold it up. And the hour will be established when a man has milked his she-camel and has taken away the milk, but he will not be able to drink it. And the hour will be established before a man repairing a tank is able to water in it, and the hour will be established when a person has raised a morsel to his mouth but will not be able to eat it. All these details indicate that due to the high intensity solar flares, the temperature on the earth will reach to such a stage where the water present on the tectonic plates will be evaporated to form a layer of salt evaporites, which is compared with a garment. The intensity of the heat is such that it will harden the morsel of food before it reaches one's mouth. All these points indicate that there will be drought and famine on the earth due to the high temperature, and both humans and surface of the earth will suffer alike because of the extreme weather conditions caused due to the high intensity solar flares in addition to the continental effect. Now, let us examine the other events that will occur before the final event. It is mentioned in a hadith that there will be a fight between two big groups, whereupon there will be a great number of casualties on both sides, and they will be following one and the same religious doctrine. This indicates that in future there will be a mutual collision between the Eurasian plate and Sinai plate along with Arabian plate, which will cause many major and high intensity earthquakes. The present Israel-Palestine and Iran war is the human enactment of this event. But it is said in the chapter number 60, verse number 7 that Allah may develop friendship between you and those who hate you, indicate that later there will be no further collision and they both join together and stay as friends. Hope this will happen soon for the human enactment and bring peace in this region. It is also mentioned in the same hadith that about 30 Dajjal will appear and each one of them will claim that he is Allah's apostle. Here, the Dajjal is mentioned as a false messiah and it is referred to the glaciers. Due to the high temperature, all the glaciers present on the earth will melt and cause sea level rise, and due to which many parts of the earth will submerge underwater. I have already shown you the images and details of Dajjal in my presentation, Dajjal, the story of climate change. It is mentioned in hadiths that the Prophet Jesus will kill Dajjal. This indicates that the high-intensity solar flares will melt the glaciers. As a part of human enactment, the leader of this entire region may represent the Dajjal and may attack several countries. It could be the leader of the Russia, as the Russia covers the major portion of the Dajjal image. The present war between the Russia and Ukraine is the human enactment of the Dajjal crisis as mentioned in a hadith. It is mentioned in Muslim, volume 7, hadith number 110 that the Dajjal will slay a young man into two pieces and then he will rejoin them. This indicates that the Russia will divide the Ukraine into two pieces and then reunite them, which will follow Russia as part of the human enactment. It is mentioned about the Jesus in the chapter number 3, verse number 46 that he will speak to people when he is in cradle and when he reaches the old age. Indicate that the tectonic plate representing the Jesus will be active during the formation of it and at the old age at the time of Qiyamah. The prophet Jesus also represents the volcano present in this plate, which could be the Mount Vesuvius, which may erupt severely during the end times. Besides this, there may be a volcanic eruption in Gulf of Aden and Alaska as well, in addition to the common active volcanic places. It is said in the chapter number 27, verse number 82 that when the end days are near, we bring forth a pig from the earth, indicating when the end days are near, a pig shape is carved out of the earth, as I have already shown in my previous presentation, Dajjal, the story of climate change. It is also said in a hadith that the Jesus will break the cross and kill the pig, indicating that due to the volcanic activity, the tectonic plate representing the Jesus will be broken, and it also destroys this plate, which is in the form of pig representing Mosinian and Carpathian microplates, and deform the bigger pig representing the Eurasian plate as well. More details are there in my presentation Dajjal, the story of climate change. This also indicates that in future there could be a war in this region as part of a human enactment of these events. It is mentioned in the chapter number 44, verse number 10 that the humans will be surrounded by the sky filled with clear smoke. That is their punishment. This indicates that a blanket of haze comprising water vapor, carbon dioxide and other harmful gases will surround the earth in future. The formation of water vapor is due to the evaporation caused by the high-intensity solar flares, and the formation of the carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide is caused due to the pollution made by the humans, as mentioned in the chapter number 30, verse number 41, where it is mentioned that because of their own work, there is a misfortune on land and water. This is like this because people may turn back or to punish their wrong deeds. The increase in carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide is also maybe due to the volcanic eruptions and thawing of permafrost. It is stated in the chapter number 18, verse number 92 to 99 that on the promised end days, the Yajuj Majuj, who is a corrupt community, will be released and they will surge like waves over one another. Similarly, it is also mentioned in a hadith that Yajuj Majuj will come like a swarm. To understand this, we have to refer the hadiths in Muslim, volume 7, number 110, where the Prophet Muhammad, while unfolding the story of Dajjal, has said that Allah will send Yajuj and Majuj after Dajjal is killed by Jesus, who will swarm down from every slope. The first of them will pass by the lake of Tiberias and will drink what is in it, and the last of them will pass it and say, "There was once water here." This indicates that after the complete melting of the glaciers due to the high temperature caused due to the high intensity solar flares, the permafrost, which is mentioned as the Yajuj Majuj, will flood the earth. This also indicates that the permafrost of the Asian part of the northern hemisphere is the one which caused flooding in China, Central Asia, Eastern Europe, Middle East up to Saudi Arabia. The statement, "the Yajuj Majuj will swarm down from every slope," indicate that the slurry containing the permafrost water of the mountains along with the soil will flow down from every mountain slope. More details related to the Yajuj Majuj is there in my presentation. Yajuj Majuj said, Inshallah. As part of a human enactment, the leaders of this land may launch military attack on several countries which comes under the flood route. It could be the leaders of China and North Korea who may initiate the military operations on several countries in near future. China will also invade India as part of an enactment of the event where the meltwaters of Himalayan glaciers along with the permafrost slurry will swarm down the slope of Himalaya causing floods in India. Also, there will be major earthquakes in this region as the Indian plate will be more active in future. It is mentioned in a hadith in Bukhari, volume number 9, hadith number 237 that the apocalypse will not occur till the sun rises from the west. This indicates that in near future the sun will rise from the west. How does this happen? It happens because of the reversal of the Earth's geomagnetic poles, due to which the east will become west and the west will become east as the north and south poles flip, though the cardinal points remain the same. It is mentioned in the same hadith that during the end days, the time will pass quickly. This indicates that before the complete reversal of the geomagnetic poles, there may be an increase in speed of the Earth's rotation or the Earth's core. It is mentioned in the chapter number 22, verse number 2 that on that day the feeding mothers will forget their child, the pregnant women will have abortion, and people looks like drunkards. This indicates that there may be a variation in the Earth's magnetic field caused due to the high speed rotation, which may affect the behavior of people who looks like drunkards. This also indicates that the Earth's core will rotate with high speed, bringing the variations in the geomagnetic field and may cause the earthquake, due to which the tectonic plates tremble. It is also true for the sun as well, as the internal structure of the Earth is a replica of the sun as shown in my presentation Mirage, the story of sun structure. This indicates that the geomagnetic reversal of the Earth could be related to the polar reversal of the sun as well, which is going to occur shortly. Let me tell you one important thing here. It is mentioned in the same hadith that when the sun rises from the west, the people will see it and they all will believe, but that will be the time when no good will it do to a soul to believe then, if it believed not before, nor earned good through its faith. Similarly, it is also mentioned in the chapter number 32, verse number 29 that nothing can be gained by keeping faith on the day of judgment. Therefore, I request everyone to accept the lone creator of the universe, whose name is Ishwar, Bhagavan, Yahweh, God, and Allah as your Lord before the sun rises from the west. Also request you to keep faith only in Allah and worship Him alone, believe in all His prophets, messengers, and all His revelations, starting from the Vedas to the Quran, and do good deeds to attain Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga, as it is mentioned in the chapter number 6, verse number 19, that this Quran is a warning to you and to those to whom it will reach further, and in chapter number 2, verse number 4 to 5, that those who believe in this book and the earlier books are the one who are in the right path, and they are the one who succeed. As I have mentioned in the beginning, the end of quaternary is near. All these events indicate that only few years are left for the end of quaternary, and all the major events will begin to appear shortly, maybe in few months. Yes, the major events of the doomsday will begin in few months. According to the scientific predictions, the sun's magnetic polar reversal may complete shortly and the solar cycle 25 may peak during 2025. According to the deciphered knowledge of the scriptures, the geomagnetic poles of the earth may also flip in near future after the polar reversal of the sun, which leads to the rising of the sun from the west. Therefore, I once again request everyone to accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your Lord and follow His teachings to attain Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga, before the occurrence of geomagnetic polar reversal. Now, the question is, where is Swarga, the Jannah, the heaven? To get the answer for the question, where is Jannah, first we have to understand few more things. So, let us understand them first. It is mentioned in the chapter number 67, verse number 16 that, are you unscared of Him who is in the sky, who will bury you in the earth? In chapter number 55, verse number 37 that, how horrible it will be when the sky will split apart, becoming red like hide. And in chapter number 39, verse number 67 that, on the day of judgment, the whole earth will be in His grip and the heavens will be rolled up in His right hand. All these verses indicate that after a long time in future, the sun will become a red giant and engulf the four inner planets of the solar system, including the earth, which is the real Qiyamah, whose enactment the humans are going to perform at present. As a part of the enactment for the Earth, some of the present continents which represents the Earth segment will be destroyed by the Antarctica, which is figuratively mentioned as the Sun. To make you understand this, let me explain few points here. In geography, as we divide the Earth into three zones based on the temperature, like torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone, the Creator Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has categorized the Earth into three sections as sky, earth, and heaven, as shown in this slide. The Creator has adorned the sky with the sun, moon, and clouds, which are figuratively represented by the Antarctica, Africa, and Australia, respectively, on the Earth. The continents present in the temperate region represent the Earth, and the Eurasia represents the heaven. This is the reason why prophets are born in the temperate region only, which is categorized as Earth by the Creator. Of course, the position of the heaven and sky is dependent on the position of the geomagnetic poles. As explained earlier, shortly the geomagnetic poles are going to be swapped, which is known as the polar reversal, which will bring the Antarctica, Africa, and Australia to the top of the globe, which is the position of the sky. It is mentioned in the chapter number 78, verse number 18 that when the trumpet is blown, you all will come in batches. Here, the meaning of the trumpet is a sound created by the volcanic eruption as mentioned in the chapter number 79, verse number 6, which may occur at the Alaska region. Then, one more sound is created as mentioned in the chapter number 79, verse number 7, which is related to the meteoric impact, which will impact in Antarctica, where the meteorites are mentioned as angels in the chapter number 25, verse number 25. Due to this impact, a storm carrying the volcanic ash and volcanic bombs will be hurled on the continents present in the Earth segment as mentioned in the chapter number 67, verse number 17. It is also mentioned in chapter number 78, verse number 19 that on that day sky will be opened. It will become multiple doors, which indicates that multiple openings will be opened in the heaven segment, which leads to the permanent subduction of few tectonic plates which are wrongdoers, and the rightly guided tectonic plates will form a plateau of metamorphosed folded mountains. The opening of the doors in the sky is also related to the openings in the outer layers of the sun, which causes the high intensity solar flares through coronal mass ejections. It is mentioned in the chapter number 83, verse number 23 that those who are in the heaven are sitting on the elevated furniture indicates the elevated plateaus formed by the mountains. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 22, verse number 23, chapter number 35, verse number 33, and chapter number 55, verse number 54 that the people in the heaven will sit in high-raised furniture, leaning to bolsters, wearing the green silk clothes and adorned with gold and silver. This indicates that the earlier mentioned mountain rocks will be subjected to the low to medium grade of metamorphism, forming phyllite and green facies rocks comprising the gold and silver. As part of the human enactment, in future, people will also suffer from these volcanic eruptions and meteoric impacts. The human wrongdoers will be forced to live in the miserable place called hell, which is the land close to the equator, where plenty of volcanoes are present and the temperature is extremely high, where they will be left with an uneatable sour and bitter fruit filled with thick slimy pulp called the zakum, and forced to drink acidic hot water. On the other hand, the people of heaven are provided with the gigantic edible fruits and big animals of Mesozoic and Tertiary era, which are revived from their extinction as mentioned in the chapter number 21, verse number 95 to 96 and Hadiths. This is the reason why it is called the resurrection. People in the heaven will sit on the couches leaning to bolster, wearing green silk clothes adorned with gold, silver and pearls, sipping cold drinking water. All these events are the enactment of the future life to be lived on the giant super earth called the Jannah, formed after the complete destruction of the present earth. All these events lead to the mass extinction of the humans as well as animals, and later they all will be resurrected, meaning reborn, meaning they all attain Punarjanma. Therefore, herewith I am warning all the human beings about the forthcoming harsh days and wretched life, and requesting you to be faithful to Allah to get an access to the heaven Otherwise, you will be compelled to live in the hell. Now, you may think that you can relocate to Siberia right now and start living there as it is a part of the heaven. I warn you not to go there before the release of Yajuj and Majuj, which is the release of permafrost slurry as mentioned earlier. As before it, plenty of dreadful viruses of the geological past will be released, which includes a virus which attacks the cervical portion of the spinal cord, as mentioned in my previous presentation. Yajuj Majuj said, Inshallah. This causes the death of millions in a short time. Therefore, I request the people who are living in Siberia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, China, Korea, and many other countries positioned in this area to migrate to the Earth segment before the release of Yajuj Majuj. Now the question is how to survive from this mass extinction. Is there any way? The happy news is that the lone creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has already shown us the path of survival, but we fail to understand it. During the Ice Age, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught the humans to be faithful to Allah and practice yoga, which made them to overcome the harsh conditions and successfully survive the extinction event. Similarly, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us to be faithful to Allah and practice namaz, the salah, and observe fasting to overcome the forthcoming mass extinction event. Yes, worshipping Allah alone, practicing salah, and observing fasting are the only means of survival. As there are limited food resources available in future, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us to practice limited consumption of food through fasting. Due to limited consumption, there will be less energy in the human body. Therefore, he taught us to do minimum exercise to keep our body sound and healthy through salah, the namaz. It is mentioned in the chapter number 74, verse number 42 to 43 that non-performing of salah, the namaz, leads to hell. It is also mentioned in the chapter number 23, verse number 8 to 10 that the believers perform namaz and they are the heir of the heaven where they will live forever. It is understood from this and similar verses of the Quran and Hadiths that the humans are tall, fair, and live longer in the heaven, which can be attained by the physiological changes in the human body. Therefore, the fasting and salah not only help us to survive the mass extinction, it also molds the human body for further evolution. Yes, fasting and salah are the tools of further evolution. Now, some of you may tell that during this time also we will practice yoga like how our ancestors have practiced and survived the mass extinction, like how it is mentioned in the chapter number 31, verse number 21. We will follow what our ancestors followed. Let me tell you that you cannot practice yoga to survive the forthcoming mass extinction event, as it requires high energy and moreover it increases the body heat, which is not suitable in future weather conditions. Yoga was for the previous mass extinction and salah, the namaz, and fasting is for the future mass extinction. This is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made humans to practice fasting from a long time. The fasting has also evolved along with our evolution process. As you are aware, in India, fasting is optional and few people observe a day's fasting on special occasions, but they consume fruits and water during fasting. The followers of the Prophet Moses observe a week's fasting with strict rules, but the followers of the Prophet Muhammad observe fasting for 30 days with stringent rules without food and water during the day. Therefore, I request everyone to practice salah, the namaz, and observe fasting as they are the tools of further evolution and helps to survive the mass extinction. I am not greedy of anything except one thing, that I want to see everyone entering into the heaven to lead a long happy life. Therefore, I request you all to worship Allah alone, who is the lone creator of the universe, and strictly practice salah, the namaz, observe fasting, and do good deeds to survive the forthcoming mass extinction, which leads us to Jannah, the heaven, the Swarga. We are having a last chance, as the forthcoming Ramadan may be the last one before the beginning of the major signs of the Qiyamah, as it is said in chapter number 6, verse number 158, that on the day your Lord's signs arrive, belief will not benefit those who did not believe earlier or those who did no good through their faith. It is of no use if you keep faith on the day of judgment, as mentioned in the chapter number 32, verse number 28 to 29, and chapter number 89, verse number 23. It is also said in the chapter number 8, verse number 38, that if you retrieve at least now, your past sins will be neglected. Therefore, I request you to grab this last chance without fail and further delay before the beginning of the Qiyamah. Otherwise, you will be neglected and forced to lead life in the hell, the Naraka, the Jahannam, which is an unfavorable place on the earth for the human existence, as mentioned in the chapter number 20, verse number 126. Let me tell you one thing here. As I have mentioned in my previous presentations that the Prophet Jesus represents the light and solar flares, and his second coming is related to the future incidents of solar flares, as the first event occurred in the geological past during the tertiary period. In fact, the incidence of the solar flares has already started during the early 2021 itself, and the cycle of the high intensity solar flares will begin shortly, which may be connected with the solar cycle 25. The scientists have predicted that the solar cycle 25 will peak during mid-2025. The incidence of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, cyclones, tornadoes, floods, and forest fires occurring since the past few years is related to the Mahdi for the earth. All this information indicate that we are left with a short time, maybe a few months, before the beginning of the major signs of the Qiyamah. Yes, we are left with few months. Therefore, I once again request you all to worship Allah alone before the sun rises from the west and practice namaz, the salah, observe fasting, and do good deeds to survive the forthcoming mass extinction and enter into the Jannah, the Swarga, the heaven. This could be the last chance and warning we are getting before the beginning of the Qiyamah. Therefore, I request you to share this message till it reaches the last person residing in the remotest place on the earth. For this, you may get the reward in the afterlife, the Akhirah, inshallah. Let me add one more fact here. The wudu, the ablution, is also an integral part of the survival exercise, as it keeps the skin and other organs like lungs moist and breathable under the harsh weather conditions. Also, it keeps the internal organs in working condition through acupressure technique if you practice the ablution properly. All this information implies that the religion is not different than science and science is not different than religion. They go hand in hand and they are intertwined. Through this presentation, I tried to caution about the forthcoming tough days for the human existence, but to keep the video short, I could not accommodate all the details of the Qiyamah present in the Quran. The opening of the third eye of the Prophet Shiva leads to the Pralaya, the Qiyamah. As I have shown you in my previous presentation, Ramayana Mahabharata Real, the third eye of the Prophet Shiva is opened and it is red as well, which indicates that the Pralaya has started. Because of the time constraints, I could not accommodate more details related to the Qiyamah that are present in other scriptures as well. Therefore, I request the science and religious scholars to join hands with me to decipher the Quran and other scriptures within a reasonable time before the beginning of the Qiyamah and spread the true knowledge of Allah to protect the human race. Some of you may call me madman, as mentioned in the chapter number 44, verse number 14, but these are the facts. This is my honest interpretation of the scriptures, but the true knowledge lies with the Allah alone. All the praises to Allah alone, the Lord of the universe. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.